Good morning and welcome to 3 Minutes on Markets and Money. I'm your host, Lance Roberts. It's the Tuesday, technically speaking Tuesday, of course, and our report is out on our website right now. Technically speaking, is it all priced in? That's really kind of the question here. You know, from the March lows, we've had a very, very strong advance and really kind of running along this 50-day moving average that we've seen here for the last several months. And the question is now, with earnings growth and with what valuations are in companies and the expected recovery in the economy, have markets already well priced in a lot of the potential outcomes that may already happen? In other words, is there more room for disappointment in the short term than there is for more optimism in the markets? And that's a question you kind of got to answer for yourself. Reality is right now is that markets have been correcting here over the course of the last 5 days and have been really holding support, importantly, right here at the 50-day moving average. Now, the markets have remained really trapped between this 50 and 200-day moving average while we've been working off both the MACD sell signal as well as the money flow buy signal. Both of these have been getting very, very oversold here. So if the market can break out above the 20-day moving average, now we're going to attempt that this morning. If we can make that break above it, then that's going to put the previous highs back into focus and will turn up the money flow buy signal, which will also give a lift to the markets in the short term. Now, going really beyond anything more than about a month or so is going to be problematic. But in the short term, if we can get above the 20-day moving average, we do have a shot at all-time highs, maybe even setting new highs here before the election. But there's a lot of risk here as we talk about going into the election. Lots of potential for turmoil, lots of issues about maybe who gets elected, what does that mean tax policy wise, etc. That could all affect kind of the market's outlook in the short term. When we take a look at the overbought, oversold indicators, we did reverse about half of the overbought condition on a daily basis that we saw back earlier, right before the correction. We were warning about the fact the market was extremely overbought and that a correction was likely. Well, we've now worked off a bit of that oversold condition, and this is kind of at levels that normally elicit at least a short-term rally in the markets. You know, we did not get deeply oversold that would suggest a longer-term rally in the markets, but a bounce is certainly likely, and that could certainly take us back up to previous highs, at least in the short term, before we get back to overbought conditions. If we step this out just a bit more, even the same thing appears on a weekly basis here. We did work off some of the weekly oversold here with this consolidation over the last few days. And again, we're kind of at levels that have previously elicited at least a short-term bounce in the markets. And same thing occurs if we step back out to a monthly basis. We've gotten extremely overbought on a monthly basis, but we're still in the correction on a monthly basis. So what this suggests is, when we put all this together, is that in the short term, very likely we could see a bounce, maybe even test old highs here, maybe even set new highs. But because we're still in this process of being overbought on a longer term basis, likely retesting highs or even setting new highs may be very akin to what we saw back earlier in 2018 and 2019, where we would get new highs and another sell-off. So I think you could still see some more risk to the downside here, at least in the short term. So be sure and measure and monitor the amount of risk you have in your portfolio. Certainly doesn't help to have a few hedges in place just as we head into the election. Hold a little bit of extra cash, get through that uncertainty of the election, and then we'll have a lot better idea about what the future outlook for markets and companies will be at that point. I'm your host, Lance Roberts, for 3 Minutes on Markets and Money. We'll see you next time.